Hey, hey, how's it going, LaWanda?
Hi.
We
How's it
are
going?
live.
Yes.
Yeah, she's like, yes, we're definitely live. So thank you for joining us today.
Thanks
Um,
for having me, Shawn. I appreciate it.
no problem. And every single week, people are gonna be like, I'm gonna stop watching this guy because he says the same thing and he doesn't have this great intro or anything like that. But I always say that we have to wait a little bit and talk for about another 30 seconds to a minute, chit
Hmm.
chat before we get into it because I have a million people that follow and they can't all get into this live stream at the same time. So we need to give them a chance to come in.
Let's give them some time. It's
All
fine.
right. so before we jumped on, we were kind of catching up just to see how things were going. And um I know you're a mom, big time mom,
I'm a
a,
mom.
a great mom. I'm sure you're a principal, Principal Tony, right?
Sometimes,
All
yes.
right, and your teacher Tony,
I would say teacher assistant.
teacher assistant. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Um, yeah, some schools are doing really well with the virtual.
Yeah.
Um, doing very
This,
well.
this go around for sure because they were able to prepare versus kind of the first round was in March was just crisis,
Yeah.
so that's a whole different thing. We're still in crisis, but they had the whole summer to try to get some things together.
Right.
So it's definitely run a lot smoother, I think.
Right. And our kids, because your son goes to private school, right?
No, he goes to public school.
Okay.
It's a charter public Montessori school.
There we
Hmm.
go. Okay. Okay. And so, something similar for our kids. But they at the end of, oh, actually, right immediately when the pandemic was announced last year, they just pretty much said, take all your books and everything, and you're not coming back to school.
Yeah.
And they started doing virtual learning, and so our kids were doing that from March until June.
Hmm.
So I feel like they're sort of like pros at it at this point. Like they know what to expect. It's not a shock to them, and
Yeah.
um, grateful. Like I'm so grateful that they're in the sixth and seventh grade, as opposed to being like kindergarten, first grade, and that's when you
Yes.
really have to spend a lot of time, from what I'm
Yep.
hearing from friends. So that's been very helpful, and it seems like the teachers are and the administration are doing a really good job with structure and kind of really mapped it out so far and thinking through everything. So I'm pleased with that.
Good. I think
Yeah,
it's been an adjustment for everyone. And if I haven't, the thing that I learned the most is just patience, and just to be gracious with the community, with the teachers, with the administration, because they're all having to readjust.
yeah, yeah.
And being patient with Caleb. I mean, he moved into the second grade. So that still you got to pay attention. But it was good that they started in March. They're definitely way more resilient than we are, so they figure things out quicker. They go with the flow. So it wasn't a big deal of stress, at least not yet.
Well, you got a boy genius though, so that's a little bit different. Yeah, he's a smart little dude. Um, yeah. So thanks for like I said, coming on. We got 500,000 people in, so we whatever.
Oh, wow.
So everyone, I have LaWanda Tony with me today, and as mentioned, she's a marketing communication expert. And so I'm not going to introduce you. I'm just going to ask you to tell us who you are and what you do to get started.
Sure. I am presently I'm the director of communications for a national PTA, and that's the Parent Teacher Association. I've been with them for over 10 years, managing their marketing communications. Um, Along with that, I've always been in communications, just in different ways, from marketing for department stores to membership clubs, AOL, you name it. But it's always been communication, marketing, and public relations. That's my background. Graduated from Howard University in broadcast journalism. Also graduated from Trinity University with my master's in communications. So my world is communications. I also have a business that I do with a partner called Media Mingle, and we help small businesses with some of their PR and media needs. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
That's awesome. You Media Mingle helped us out back in, was it 2011?
Yeah.
We had a grand opening. We were the first office in Prince George's County to open for this particular company. You all just took it and ran with it. I gave you the budget that we had, and you did everything and put it all together. We ended up getting like Senate citations and proclamations and all those. Like I wasn't even expecting that. So that was great. And you took a lot of the legwork off of our hands. And so that was awesome. And so today though, LaWanda, based on your experience, we were texting and stuff, and given the climate that we're in right now, and you were absolutely right. Like, so when I've been speaking lately to groups and such, I always, number one, I thank, the person that brought us on to speak. Secondly, I thank the parents. I thank the teachers, but I thank the children because right now they are going through something difficult. And so no matter what we say, hey, suck it up, be resilient, whatever it might be, none of us have been through anything like this before. No. This hasn't happened for like 100 years. And many of us, until recent, have never really understood any way, shape, or form what it's like to do virtual learning full time.
Yeah.
And so it's some of the kids, I know you all like to travel like all the time. So I know that's burning through you. I know for us, we canceled like vacation this summer. Our kids haven't been able to see their friends, or to touch anyone, even the cousins. I mean, it's like tough. We're putting on masks when we get around family and stuff. And so it's just been really tough and difficult. And so I say all that to say, we were texting and I'm like, you know what? You're a PTA. What are you hearing out there? And like, how can we maybe come on and discuss and help families engage with the schools and such? Like, can you tell us like what that really means, like family engagement?
Yeah. So family engagement has been around the term for a long time. People have called it many different things. Parent involvement, I think, is where it started. But then we started to realize that it's more than just the parents that need to be involved for the success of a child in school. There are grandparents that are raising children on their own. There are aunts and uncles who are very invested in children's lives. And we wanted to make sure that we were inclusive in the language. And so that's kind of where family engagement evolved from parent involvement. So, and with that, engagement means not just dropping your kid off and picking them up and saying, how was school, right? Because that's the easy thing that we do because we're busy and we know that the school is there and they're going to take care of it. But it's about what happens when I drop my child off and how can I be a part of that? I know that I'm not going to have to be there. I can't be there every day, right? Because I have to work. There's things that need to be done. And the teacher doesn't need that additional distraction in the classroom of me sitting there hovering all day. Right. But they need to know that I'm engaged and I want to follow up on the things that you have poured into my child during the day. So it takes a two-way communication for that to happen. So that's kind of the gist of what family engagement is. It's about taking kind of that next step and making sure that you're involved and finding a way to be involved at school on any level. It could be, as simple as participating in a field trip, sending a message to a teacher, following up on something that you discuss with your child at home, letting the school know that you want to be a part of the community and how can you help. It's about attending a board meeting, a school board meeting, or a PTA meeting, or being involved in whatever parent group organization your school may have. Because you can wait for a group of people to make decisions for you and your child at school and then be upset about it. But can you really, if you're not wanting to be a part of the solutions? So right. That's I think family engagement is about. It's about me making the choice to say, hey, I want to be a part of the school community, and where do I fit in?
Understood. And so, besides, the obvious and what you just mentioned there, like, how does that help? Like,
Yep.
how does it help? Like, why should I even be involved? Like, what is it going to do for anyone?
So there's a lot of data out that says that when parents are more involved, children are more successful. Meaning that if parents are more involved in school, they know what's happening, they can stay on top of their kids about the things that they need to do, what's happening at school, help them solve problems, encourage them when they need it. We are, as parents, the number one influencers in our kids' life because we're with them a lot.
Yeah.
They wake up with us, they go to bed with us. We're there with them on the weekend. We're their number one influence. They look for us to say, did I do good here, mom? Did I do a good job? Is this what you wanted? Kind of situation. So if we pour into them and let them know that we are always a part of the school, that the school isn't some separate thing so you can do whatever you want when you get there and no one will alert me, I won't know anything, then it's a change behavior. Because I know in the back of my mind, my mom and dad are always thinking about what's going to happen at school. So I'm going to treat people differently. I may behave differently. I'm more encouraged to want to be better. And there's data to prove that a strong parent-teacher relationship really works to support a child because you are like in tandem with them. And more than ever, that's so important with this virtual life that we're in. And it's also easier because now we're all online, right? We're
Right.
all communicating in that way and everyone's present. Before, it was a little harder because you might have physically go into the building or physically have to make a phone call. Now I can go next door into Caleb's classroom and say, Caleb, I need to write a note to your teacher or raise your hand and I can say something. I don't try to do that often, but I'm just saying I have the ability to.
So what would you just like go in the chat and type something or actually like speak up?
Yeah, I can go in the chat. Now, as a part of this, you have access to so many things.
Yeah.
To their Google Classroom.
Mm-hmm.
The teacher's emailing you when they need support.
My son won't even take notes anymore. He's like, you need to go on Google Classroom and look if you want to see what's. He won't use a pen and paper or pencil anymore.
Yeah, it's a total direct connection now. So there's so many different ways that you can reach out to your teacher or reach out to your school, and they want that two-way communication. They don't want to feel like they're isolated in this bubble, and even more so now they need it.
Understood. And so another question that was that came up while I was listening to you talk. So now I read last week that there's teachers actually quitting school, right? And they're just like, I can't do it, I'm done. But largely the things that I've read is because of this parent teacher interaction, because one side's not giving the other side sort of grace, right? Because it's a new thing. Like what do you think are some tips and things that we need to think about with teachers, and like maybe how to be a little bit more empathetic with them, or do you have any tips for us on that?
I just think that the same way that we want someone to grant us grace as we're in this new environment, it's the same thing for them, except that when I go into a meeting, it might be 5 other people in the meeting, not 20 kids from different backgrounds and different things happening in their house, and I still have to provide a lesson. So I would say that people just need to think about that a little bit more and really think about what it takes to be a teacher right now. Because now I don't have the physical classroom. I can't, I can engage with you, but it's just a different engagement. As a student, there's like 20 little blocks on the screen. And I'm trying to, especially in the younger years where there's everything that's so tactile, where it was touching and writing and things like that. And now these kids are raising their hands electronically. They have to figure out how to submit work on a Google Classroom when they used to just turn in a piece of paper.
Right.
So there had to be a lot of planning in that. Like they couldn't just transition, and there are things that they don't know, that they didn't know. You don't know what you don't know.
Right.
And so I would say before we rush to judge, that we take a step back and try to put ourselves in their place, and see where we can offer support. I think that teachers would rather you reach out to them than not. They don't feel like, oh, I'm bothering him or her. Ask your question, and when they are able to answer it, they will. They want this to not be a semester of sliding back. They don't want that. They're trying their best to make sure that kids can continue to move on. And they're really trying to figure out how to make education, make the quality and equality, because they know that everyone has different circumstances. And everyone's coming from different places, and now they're at home, where for some students, school used to be the refuge.
Yeah.
That was a place where they knew where they got a meal from.
Yeah.
That they were cared for those 8 hours in a day. And now, and I'm not saying everyone, but I'm just saying there are instances where they're in a situation that may not be the best for them to grow and learn.
Right.
And the teachers know that, and they're trying to make the best of that. So if you feel like you can support them, find out what they need to be supportive. Ask them what their needs are and how you can help if you're able to.
That's awesome. So relationships I talk about on this live stream. Build relationships before you need them.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I met your husband back in 2005.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a dear friend of mine, become a very good friend. We spent a lot of time on the golf course.
Yeah.
Depending upon who you ask, how that's going to, who's a better golfer and all that kind of stuff. But we built a really tight, strong relationship there. And so obviously got a chance to meet you and work through these things. And one of the things that I talk about is it would be such a shame for me to have built, 15, 20 years in professional space, building these relationships and not share them with the network. And so folks that come on and talk, I'm sharing, my network with my network basically. And so build relationships before you need them. The DNA and the whole why behind it all is what I talk about, like, kind of why you do what you do. And then so, one of the things I'm, I'm really passionate about is I do home ownership, right? I do mortgage financing for refinances and purchasing homes, but I'm not going to come on here every Thursday and talk about fixed rates and products and such, because I have real clients like you, right? That need to hear stuff like this, that needs this type of information. And so that's a big part of the why. And then the last thing is plan, like having a plan, because we all have goals and we have targets and such that we want to achieve. And so like here, just the, almost 20 minutes that we've been talking, you've given us a lot of good information to build a plan. Like, I wrote down, reach out more often than not to the teachers. That's something that I think they want to have the interaction with the parents as well. The quality versus equality. That's very important, because sometimes if we don't understand someone else's situation that they're in, we can't properly equip them to move the needle to the next level. And then also the 3 tips that you gave us at the beginning in regards to the family engagement with the field trips and the following up with the school and being a part of the community. I thought that was pretty amazing. So where I'm going with this is I wanted to ask, and then I'll ask you a couple other personal questions, but like in regards to your organization, is there anything, so any resources that you want to share with us, or is there anything that we can do to help the organization?
Sure. So if you have a parent group at your school, join it. That's the first thing I would say. Not all schools have a PTA, but they should have some type of parent group. If you have a PTA, great. You should join it and be a part of it, because that's one way to connect to your community at your school. The second thing I would say is go on our website, pta.org. And there's lots of resources there. We actually created a COVID-19 page. It's pta.org/COVID-19. And it has resources for parents, for teachers, for students, on additional things like you want to know about social emotional learning, what to expect during the pandemic, stressors, stress relievers, other partners or organizations, educational organizations that have resources to support you if you have children of all walks of life, from children with disabilities. How are they managing during this time? If you have kids with learning differences, what do you do? That information is there. And then the last resource I would say is, last year we started a podcast that I co-host. It's called Notes from the Backpack. And the reason why we call it that is because a lot of time kids bring home notes in their backpack, but what happens to them? They get lost or they don't share them. And it's a resource that is gone. So we wanted to kind of change the connotation of the notes from the backpack and be able to offer people a way to get expert information from our guests about different parts of our schools and how you can be more involved. For example, our last episode was about kid literature and why diversity matters in kid lit. That everybody, no matter what walk, white, black, and different, should be reading about somebody different if you want to create a human being who has empathy for others. So just things like that. Those would be the resources that I would say check out.
That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. So I was going to ask you about the podcast. So I'm so glad you brought that up, because I started to listen to it and it's great. You all do a good job. It's really engaging. And the people that you bring on are truly experts.
Yeah.
So tell me about that. Like, cause I've been doing some podcasting too, and been doing this live stream every week. So what's your what's it been like for you getting into that space?
Yeah, so it was really exciting and kind of a natural transition for me. I like to ask a lot of questions. I like talking to people. So being able now to have a platform to talk about things that matter to me and help with the ideation of some of the topics is great. We started off in a studio, so going like to Georgetown, recording, etc. And then COVID, we had to change. So we ordered a lot of equipment, and now I do it in my closet because it has the best sound.
Right.
So that's been a transition for sure. But I really do like the work and what we've been able to do. And I've learned so much. So I'm sure the same for you. When you do your podcast, when you do this, you're learning from the people that come on your show, and that just helps you grow. So same for me. Every episode helps me grow. I'm always taking notes like, oh, let me go back to that so I can learn a little bit more about what our guests are talking about. So
right.
hopefully helping me be a better parent.
Oh, that's awesome. So 2 more things.
Yeah.
You told me last week you're good now. You can travel, but you love to travel. And I admire that about your family, because you all, and you take Caleb and you and Dion, you go out and you travel and you go to some great places, and you document and share your experiences with us too as well. How's that been? Like, speaking of transition, like,
So traveling is one of my pastimes. I do enjoy it very much, and it keeps me focused. Like, having a trip planned is like, oh, I can get through any challenges that are coming up because I know that I get to escape and get away. So the first one that we had to cancel was spring break. Like, we had a plan. I think we were going to Puerto Rico, and that was canceled.
Oh, see, Puerto Rico, some of us just go,
Listen now. So the other thing you know about me is that I like to not spend a lot of money when I travel. So it's about my rewards points. So that trip was already taken care of on every point that I had. So, but I was able to cancel it. All the points went back into the bank. So now I'm sitting here with, usually by now I have Christmas planned out and spring break. And I do not have that plan just yet. but I'm working on it. And
you're working on it.
I've been watching my different travel groups and seeing how people travel, and they have definitely given me courage to start venturing out. So stay tuned. You'll see if we venture out somewhere soon or not.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting for you. Last thing,
Yeah.
dead or alive,
Okay.
you could have like a meeting, coffee, lunch, dinner, breakfast, just meet them in the elevator, them in an elevator, whatever it is. And you can only ask one question. So
Ooh.
who would it be and what question would you ask?
So I think my person is always going to be Oprah. It's always
Okay.
going to be her, no matter what, dead or alive. She's alive and well. So, and my question, that's the tough part. I'm not sure what my question would be, but I
And if
guess
not, you tell us why you would why Oprah would be your person. If you got the question would be great to hear.
Yeah.
But you know,
So I do have the question now, but the reason why it would be Oprah is like growing up with Oprah, I always knew that I wanted to be in media in some way
I
because
see.
of her. So just having that full circle, being able to actually meet her would be great and have an intimate conversation. I've been to the show before, I've seen her places, but to have a one-on-one would be great. And I guess the question I would ask her is the question that she always asks people: are you living your best life?
Oh wow.
I would want to know, is Oprah living her best life right now?
I see. So you love it then when I say that to you, because I always say that to you. You're living your best life. I never knew that.
Yes, but I want to know. I think, of course, Oprah's living her best life, but does she think she's living her best life?
I see. I see. That's a great question. So everybody hear that? LaWanda would meet Oprah and she would ask Oprah if she's living her best life. If she practices what she preaches, huh? Um,
So,
no, that's amazing. So that's all I have. I tagged you on LinkedIn, so I
okay.
would assume people could reach you that way through LinkedIn.
So you can
Got
find
it.
Instagram More Than Caleb's Mom on there. Facebook as myself. I don't really do Twitter a whole lot. I'm more Twitter stalk than Twitter participate. So, but Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn, you can definitely find me those places.
Great, great. Thank you so much. So I just ask you to hang on. After just give me 2 minutes to say goodbye after we finish
Absolutely.
the live stream. But basically, everyone that's listening to this, you can also watch it post and put some comments in there. Any questions you might have, if you're in need of any resources that I can help connect you with. As you know, I take great pride and joy in relationships and connecting people, and just trying to help add value to everyone. And so if there's anything that we can do to help you in any way, just let us know. If we can't help you directly, we're going to find a way to get you in front of someone or a resource that can. Uh, do your very best, everyone, to stay safe and healthy as possible.
Yeah.
That's important because if our economy and our lives are going to rebound, we just need to be conscious of the decisions that we make. So just do your very best to stay healthy. So thank you for joining. We'll be back next Thursday. I forget who the guest is. We have a pretty good guest next week. We're building a website, LaWanda,
Oh,
and
great.
so we have a content writer. What do you call it? Copywriter.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's been really good at asking some great questions and really helping us with our messaging. So she's gonna come on next week and talk about the benefits of that. So I'm
I'll
excited to hear.
tune in. That's exciting, Shawn. So proud of you and the work that you've been able to do and what you want to share with the world. So kudos to you.
Thank you. Have a great day, everyone.